We now move on to the Commonwealth, and here's where things start getting a bit confusing, in that here we have a creature with the exact same name as another, yet they're clearly two totally different species. Indeed, these are the Commonwealth Mirelurks. It's unknown exactly what this species' origins are, but their appearance suggests that they're descended from some kind of shellfish, perhaps crabs of some type. In any case, they're very different to their Capital Wasteland counterparts. These Mirelurks possess a darker coloration and walk in a more crab-like manner on multiple pairs of legs. They also possess additional smaller arms growing out of their chests, similar to those of the Capital Wasteland's Mirelurk hunters. Despite this though, they're still pretty similar to Capital Wasteland Mirelurks in many ways as well. They possess an extremely tough shell used to protect their vulnerable head. They have two large main pincers which they use to attack, along with headbutting. In addition to the usual places Mirelurks can be found, within bodies of water and cool damp areas, the Commonwealth's Mirelurks will often bury themselves in dirt or mud, most likely as a technique to ambush potential prey. Speaking of which, these guys still possess the trademark Mirelurk aggression and bloodlust. As with its counterparts, these Mirelurks tend to stick in groups. If one is in danger of being killed, it will retreat and attempt to solicit the help of its fellow crustaceans. Hell, even Mirelurk hatchlings are aggressive and will not shy away from a fight, even seemingly sensing the presence of danger from within their eggs and prematurely hatching themselves specifically to pick a fight. However, even in a swarm, they're little more than a nuisance and can be dispatched pretty easily. In addition to the standard Commonwealth Mirelurks, several variants of this species can be found throughout, such as softshell Mirelurks. They can easily be distinguished from other Mirelurks by their green coloring, and as the name suggests, they're much less resilient. Softshell Mirelurks could possibly be simply younger Mirelurks that have not yet grown a proper hardened shell. Glowing Mirelurks are a somewhat rare sight. They're Mirelurks that have absorbed vast quantities of radiation and have basically become living conduits for the stuff. This causes them not only to glow a sickly green color, but actually inflict radiation damage. Glowing variations of many different beasts exist throughout the Commonwealth, and as with all those, the glowing Mirelurks possibly originate from the highly irradiated glowing sea. We now come to one of the biggest shit-your-pants scary creatures you might encounter in the Commonwealth, a Mirelurk queen. Although rare, these babies are the real deal. Not only are they absolutely massive, even bigger than most super mutant behemoths, they're extremely resilient. Even a single mini-nuke isn't enough to bring one of these down. And they pack quite a punch as well, not only with their melee attacks, but they're also capable of a very dangerous acid spit attack, similar to that of Point Lookout Swampler queens, but multiplied by 10. All of this is not to mention the intimidation factor. I mean, I don't know about you, but if one of these things surfaced and came after me, I'd nope it right the fuck out of there. But hey, let's be respectful. These things serve an important purpose. As the Mirelurk queens, they are the ones responsible for reproducing, laying eggs that will eventually hatch and bring into the wasteland a new generation of Mirelurks. Actually, never mind. Nuke the Commonwealth. Again. Well, moving on, also in the Commonwealth we can find Mirelurk hunters. You know, different from the ones in the Capital Wasteland. Well, despite not appearing to be related to the more common Commonwealth Mirelurks, at least these guys look like they originated from another type of shellfish, so they have more right to be called Mirelurks than some other creatures. Anyway, yeah, like with the other Mirelurks, it's unknown what these hunters mutated from, but like I said, it was most likely some kind of shellfish, maybe lobster or crayfish. In any case, they have a noticeably different body structure, but typical of most creatures bearing the Mirelurk title, they possess two large, dangerous pincers. And like their so-called brethren, they also walk on multiple sets of legs. Mirelurk hunters are actually significantly stronger and more resilient than their namesakes, and similar to the Mirelurk queens, possess the ability to spit acid. As with the standard Mirelurks, glowing Mirelurk hunters can also be encountered, as well as those which have been afflicted with albinism. However, as with all albinos, albino Mirelurk hunters are quite rare. Finally, we come to our final specimen, which the good people of the Wasteland have deemed necessary to slap the label of Mirelurk onto. This is the Commonwealth Mirelurk King. As is the trend, these guys don't bear much resemblance to their Capital Wasteland counterparts, and are almost definitely a completely separate species. But hey, they do have one thing in common with Capital Wasteland Mirelurk Kings. They're so different from the more common Mirelurks of the area that it makes you wonder what kind of jet the locals were smoking when they came up with the idea of naming them as such. But anyway, yeah, maybe they evolved from frogs or some shit. I don't know, who cares? Interestingly enough, though, these Mirelurk kings do possess the same head-crippling sonic blast attack. Even better, they apparently have the ability to turn themselves sorta kinda invisible. I guess they aren't very good at it. And although they do seem to be able to walk on 2 legs, they appear to prefer sprinting and jumping around on all 4s. Another thing to note is that these guys are actually not as resilient as the Commonwealth's Mirelurk hunters, although they are much quicker and more agile. And of course, as with many other creatures, glowing Mirelurk kings can also be found. Well, I think that's about it. That's all the Mirelurks to be documented. So far, anyway. Hope you enjoyed watching, and good fucking night.